Hey, welcome, good listeners. I'm back with video 2 of this series in November, Oracle readings for Earth honoring economies. First, I just want to introduce you to my co-producer. You can't exactly see his face right now, but that's my co-producer. He's not my assistant. For those of you who have been following along, my epic adventure in creating this village artist grant system and bringing it to life and putting it on the table. And if you've been watching, you've seen the research evolve, right? You've seen, um, the pieces of it as it's been coming together. And I want you to understand that there's a brains behind this operation, and it's not me, it's him. He's been my co-producer, and that's why I say he's not my assistant. He's the brains behind this operation, but he's sleeping right now. So video 2, this video is a clash. I'm titling it The Clash Between Your Future Self and Your Past Self. So in this oracle reading, I actually don't want to do a new reading. I want to open up more of the unfolding from our last reading. So if you missed that, um, it's a previous live video. It's the quantum astrology reading for the 1111 portal. And in that video, a lot came up around this sort of clash that's happening between the past self and the future self. And I want to break that open up more, because there's more to pull out of it in terms of what we can read through our oracle visions, especially in terms of, making our way through the, let's say, energetic conglomerate of this particular moment in time as we're closing this year of 9 and moving into 2026, which is the year of 1, when 9 becomes 1. That wasn't 9. There we go. That's what we're doing. Yeah. So anyway, it's a wild ride out there. And so what's coming up for me, when I do these oracle readings, it's not just doing a reading, it's allowing the medicine to move through your entire body. And so that is what I experienced, in the last several days since I did the last video. I experienced the medicine of what that reading was like open up into my life. I got, so many revelations, so many breakthroughs. It led me in particular directions. It led me toward other teachers, um, other places in life that I have something to learn. And that's what I mean when I say I want to break it up open more. This is part of sitting with the medicine and integrating its lessons and learning from its lessons. So that's what I want to talk about today, is more about this past self, future self thing, because some really illuminating things came out. Let me just take a sip of water. So I want us to think about um, places that you might be experiencing a roadblock, obstacles, a concern, confusion, and this sort of experience of trying to drive forward and it's not working. And I've really had this repeating experience for the last 3 years, especially. It's been one of the most prominent experiences in the last 3 years, is this feeling of trying to move forward and then falling into a hole and then digging yourself up out of again and then moving forward. And it's like every single time I've tried to move forward, it's going into a hole or it's hitting a huge wall, a huge obstacle. And it's again this sort of start, stop phenomena, which has gotten really frustrating and difficult to navigate or even understand what's happening. And, because when those roadblocks come up, immediately it, for most of us, I think we go into our wounded narratives of instinctual narratives, right? Of what does it mean that this is happening? And so it's taken a great amount of ongoing concentration and focus to sit down and really, really listen to what is true and what's a lie. So that's a huge thing. But every time this has happened to me in the last 3 years, um, uh, consistently, I'd have to, come back to myself and think like, am I completely off? Because I feel like I'm going in the right direction. But am I completely off? Am I completely missing the point? Am I completely missing the guidance? Am I just on the wrong road? Do I have to pivot completely? Because I keep feeling like I'm making the right choices and I'm going in the right way and that, you know, um I keep getting the same guidance at the end of the day that's no, keep going forward. But then why is this wall here? And every time that wall shows up, I really feel like I'm just like, did I miss it? And so I had a really huge revelation and illumination around that particular pattern, coming out of the previous reading that we did. Um, and it comes from one of the central things that we talked about in that video, which is this clash between the past self and the future self. And what we talked about in that video is that the past version of you doesn't have a way out of the situation you're in. If we're going with this driving metaphor, right? It's like you're on the highway, but you have to take one of those exits. And when your past self is driving the car, it keeps missing the exit, and so it just keeps looping around. It's not bad, I guess, because it's like it's okay. You can get the exit the next time. You're not gonna miss out on everything that your life is supposed to offer you. You're not gonna miss out. Just try again. But your past self keeps going around in circles because 'cause they're not taking the exit. It's your future self who knows how to take the exit. The past self only knows how to survive in the situation that they're in. So that's what we talked about last time, right? Is that your past self has developed, they have highly developed strategies to survive the situation that they're in. But they just don't have the way out, but your future self already does. They don't just know the way out, they already have it. Um, and this is like your recent past. This is something like even the who you were 3 years ago, who you were 2 years ago, like legitimately didn't have what they needed to get out of a situation. But your future self has always had the way out, always. And so it's a matter of who are you listening to? Who do you have in your front seat? Who's in your passenger seat? Maybe is the better question because you're in the driver's seat. That's clear. You're in the driver's seat. But is your past self in the passenger seat? Who's giving you the directions? Who's navigating? Because your future self can collaborate with you and tell you exactly how to take that exit, but your past self will just tell you how to loop around. And this comes, in terms of even who are you listening to for advice? Who are you listening to for guidance? Because I've had this experience where the advice sounds really good. And it is good advice. It's amazing advice. It's very sound advice. However, that advice is only designed to help you loop around. because it's only designed to help you survive the circumstances that you're in amazing ways, right? However, it's not going to get you out, and that's actually what you decided to do. And that's why it's dangerous to stay on this road that's just looping around, because you yourself have decided that you're going to leave. And so now, have you ever seen the Good Place? If you haven't, I'm not going to give any spoilers, but there's a episode in season 2 that's really cool, that it's they exit a certain world. Do you remember that episode that I'm talking about right at the end? They exit a certain world that they were in, and the way that they filmed it was like the entire world just like disintegrated, like taking apart a puzzle piece, and the puzzle is like disintegrating into the quantum universe. Um, in warp speed, and so that the world is just gonna crumble, because they left that world. That's what I'm seeing, right? It's like this road that keeps looping around is going to close down. It's going to close down, but because you have made the choice to leave, and you have made the choice to prepare to leave, and all this sort of looping around in circles is not a bad thing at the end of the day, because there's been a preparation process in order for you to get out. And once you're ready, really, really ready to get out, you got to get your future self in that passenger seat so they can just tell you to take that exit, because that place is gonna it's gonna disintegrate like that. Um, so there's that part. Let me just look at my notes. So yeah, so I that came out of the last video, and then afterward, I had a moment where um, I had a revelation around this wall, this roadblock in front of me that happens when my past self is sort of guiding the way. And I had a moment where I was like, okay, well, if I am giving my future self more authority in determining our direction, my future self has the open road, right? And they don't have the block in front of them. So I was like, when my future self is in that seat, then I assumed that I would have to look elsewhere to find the open road ahead of me. But what I found out was that the block and the open road are in the same place. So I assumed that, okay, once I get out of that blocked place, that I would have to go somewhere else to find my open road, but the open road is still exactly where I'm sitting. And that's the big revelation that I had, was this is not, you know, when we come back to this question around like whatever concerns are in front of you, whatever roadblocks or obstacles are in front of you, um, navigating that into a free and open road is not a matter of geography, it's a matter of dimension. This is a matter of dimension. That's the key. This is about dimension, not geography. Let's break that down. What the heck am I talking about? Okay? Because the roadblock is in the same spot. And this is another confirmation that it's like, yeah, you are on the right road. You are going in the right direction. You're not way off. You're not missing the guidance. You're in the right spot. You are exactly where you're supposed to be. However, you keep I mean, I'm saying you, but take this with a grain of salt, right? I'm telling you about my experience. It may or may not be exactly your experience. But what's happening is that you keep slipping between dimensions. And the dimensions are like in one dimension, it is literally like it's not just a roadblock. What I saw actually was the Titanic. Last video was like, for some reason, I got pulled into a portal and I watched the whole Titanic movie. The chain of events was that I was watching figure skating because I'm obsessed with figure skating. If you didn't know, now you know. And somebody was skating to a song from Titanic, and then I was like, I just want to watch the first little bit of. I'm not going to watch the whole thing. I know it's like 7 hours long, but then I watched the whole thing. And then I watched a documentary about I was like, I got pulled into a portal about the Titanic. And then if you know me, I do open heart surgery storytelling. And so there are certain stories that pull me in order to give me the ancestral medicine and the ancestral messages that are coming through a particular story to help us understand the our current moment. And the Titanic is doing that for me. So there's a day where I'm gonna sit down and, like, channel my whole thing about the Titanic and do the whole open heart surgery on it. That'll be for another day, but it's definitely talking to me because that the roadblock is not just a roadblock, like, it's literally it felt like remnants of a ship that have been, lost underwater for m years, and I felt like, the underwater rot, right, on all these things, and that's one dimension that I keep slipping into. And then in the exact same spot, when you're in, let's say, the dimension where the road is open, it's the road is open and you're free and you're driving, and it's the road where miracles occur in your own life, and also where your personal miracles are bound, and not just bound like chain, but bound like committed and weaving and collaborating with the miracles of our lifetime and of our entire planet and of our entire global community. And this is, and it's one road. And this is the road that when I'm on this road, I get to die an old person. And in my lifetime, I see the end of the military industrial complex. I see a free Sudan and a free Congo and a free Palestine and a free Amazon and a free Venezuela and a free everywhere. Turtle Island, Heart Island. It's it's one road, and it's not a matter of geography. It's like in one dimension, the Titanic sinks and you're lost, and on the other dimension, it's this incredible global miracle. And that's the start and stop phenomenon that I was feeling. It's that you're not supposed to go in a different direction, but you have to stop slipping in and out of dimensions because that is creating, like, in one moment you're completely sunk, and in one moment you're free, and you didn't even go anywhere else. So what the heck is happening, right? But this is the key, right? It's like when you understand that it's a matter of dimension. I don't know why I feel like saying it like that. That's my Spider Woman voice, by the way. Spider Woman's a ancestor that I work with. She's a character in my podcast drama, my live multiverse memoir. She's the best. But I don't know why she likes saying that this is a matter of dimension. When you understand that it's about dimensions, then you understand the technology that you're working with, you understand how to address it. Great. Well, how do we address it? We have to understand the key factor. It's usually just a very small latch. It's just like a that keeps you going back and forth. Like, what is the key factor that has you slipping back and forth between dimensions? And this is it. It's about your relationships. Um, in one dimension, you are the same person that you are. You have the same pain. The things that aren't resolved are still not resolved. The things that you're imagining and downloading, you're still doing that. You still have the same dreams, the same offer, you're still working on the same thing. The difference is that in one dimension, you are surrounded by a relationship structure, let's say yeah, a communal relationship structure, an ecosystem where you're surrounded by relationships that cannot repair with you. It doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter what you say, doesn't matter how hard you fight, doesn't matter how smart you are or how convincing you are, they will not repair with you. They can't. And in the other dimension, you are surrounded by a relationship ecosystem where they have already decided, even before you came into the room, that they want to repair with you, that they love you, that they understand you, and that you have a home here in this thriving ecosystem. And in the other dimension, they have already decided that they can't. Okay, so this is connected to many things, right? If you're trying to make art, if you're trying to find love, if you're trying to, build friendships, if you're trying to be a person in community, if you're trying to contribute something to your village, you're trying to build something, you're trying to offer something, you're trying to make something, organize something, you're trying to, create a miracle with people around you, whatever you want to build, like if you're doing that in an industry or a set of interpersonal relationships or even like a socio-cultural religious sort of conglomerate environment, a communal dynamic, community dynamic environment, one that has already decided does not have your back, does not want what you want, cannot build what you're trying to build versus, again, the environment that has already decided that you are an integral part of this ecosystem and it will fiercely support you and protect you and never let anything bad happen to you. The shift is who you are in one environment versus the other. 'Cause there's actually nothing, like I said, there's nothing different about you. It's not like in one environment, "Oh, you're healed and you've figured all this new stuff out and you've worked through this problem and you don't have that problem anymore and you're smarter," and it's none of that. It's like you are the exact same person. However, you're a completely different person by how you have to respond to your environment. So when you have to fight and survive in a relationship environment where you're not heard, you're not seen, and you keep trying to be heard, but the wounded part of you doesn't understand is that like this environment has already decided it doesn't know how to repair with you. Um and so for me what I saw was that the difference for me is when I'm in that environment, it's that part of me is just someone who can't do anything but just keep banging their head against the wall, right? And grief and pain and rage, just like screaming and the voice won't come out. it won't like the only thing I can do is bang my head against the wall versus when I'm the same person with the same problems, with the same gifts in the other environment, I'm free and I'm on the open road and I'm driving and I'm healed and I'm healing and I'm good and I have what I need. And it's the difference between, yeah, like banging your head against the wall and just showing up in front of your village and saying, "This is what I've been through, and this is the support I need, and this is, what I have to offer, and this is what I'm not doing so well around." And you're heard and you're respected and you're understood and you have an ecosystem that is already collaborating with you. You don't have to fight like that, right? So that's the difference between like how different you are in the two different scenarios. Um, and so then once you understand, like that's where the shift happens, that's what the shift is about. How do you stay more consistently in the environment, in the ecosystem, um, where you get to feel like that and be that version of yourself, free, driving on the open road, and you're good, just as you are now, you're good. How do you stay there? Well, on an energy healing level, what you have to do, there's something, first, let me say this. There's something you have to do on the energy healing level. And then once you do that, then on an energetic level, you stay consistently as that part of you who is driving on that open road. And that's where you start to see the materialization of what you really need in life, right? Because that person is driving by the right opportunities. That person knows what to say. That person knows where to stop and get gas. That person knows when to stretch their feet and when to keep driving and when to go a little further. So that's where the materialization happens. So we need to address it on the energetic level first, right? So that you're not slipping back into that dimension. Who's going to keep kind of derailing you a little bit with their choices. And then on an energetic level, we have to look at like, oh, that's why things have felt so chaotic and confusing. Because actually what I'm seeing is there's a large kaleidoscope, this meshing. It's not just a clash between the future self and the past self. It's this meshing of worlds and paradigms that are converging with one another. That's like the Titanic's, the sunken ship and the open road and the head banging against the wall and the healing chat around the fire. It's like all happening all at once. And this is, one of my teachers said this, and it really stuck out to me in a container, maybe a couple of years ago. But the key right now is really how do we ensure that the medicine does not overpower us? Because when we're experiencing this level of meshing, of kaleidoscope, which is actually normal for the times that we're in. This is a normal part of the process when something is birthing itself, something as enormous as a world full of healing and freedom and mass collective earth stewardship in the same place where genocide used to be. That's what we're doing here. That's why it's such a because it's a big deal what our generation has decided to take on in terms of yeah, we're going to heal this shit. We're going to put an end to this. We're a we're an ambitious bunch of mighty ducks over here. But this is part of it, right? It's that's a normal experience to have this enmeshment of all these different things colliding at once. Um and our job as energy healers um is to figure out what the heck to do with that. And It's okay that it's like that. What we have to do is just organize it. So when you have a version of yourself that's banging your head against the wall, like all you have to do is organize everything on an altar. It's like you have an amazing altar in front of you, a very sacred, piece of cloth, and you have all these things. You just have to put them all in the right spot. You have an amazing home that with boxes everywhere. You just have to unpack it and put it in the right spot. And it's not so disorganized anymore. It's not so weird and confusing. And that's what you have to do with that past version of yourself. The version of yourself that is hitting your head against the wall, like I was, or whatever your past version of yourself is doing, like, you need to put that version of you on a place in the altar where they can thrive and where they can be at their best. And so when I did that, when I went into my meditation and I worked with this part of myself, right? It's not about discarding her. It's about putting her somewhere where she can be at her best. And I was able to stop myself from continuing to hit my head against the wall, and where we went, I took her to a grief center. And this is just something that emerged through my meditation, through I saw where she wanted to go. And I took her there. And so there was this grief center that is somewhere in the quantum universe. I wish there was something like this in my city. There isn't, but I don't need it to be in existence physically at this moment in time. All I need is to see it energetically and take her there and let her stay there. And this grief center is somewhere that's very beloved to her, and it's very personal. There's a very personal kind of relationship that she has with this place. And to just give her a space to lie down, to rest, to be taken care of is where and how she needs to be at her best right now. Not trying to drive a car to this future that she doesn't even know how to get to. So that's what you would do with their past self, is guide them to a place where they can thrive, and sit with yourself in communion to understand exactly where that is for you. And then give your future self the authority. Give your future self the authority to um, not tell you what to do, but collaborate with you in navigating the road ahead of you. Because now, when that past version of you has a home, has a safe place on the altar where they can thrive, the fullness of your present self is more free to drive on that open road. So I just, want to let's take a few breaths. I want to give you, if you're listening and if you're interested in this, let's give us a chance to just connect with the future self, past self kind of thing. So let's take a few deep breaths and just connect with that past version of yourself and feel into what's going on with that past version of yourself, and feel into where would they be on an altar right now? The altar of your life, the altar of your quantum reality. Where would they sit right now? Where do they want to go in order to be at their best, in order to thrive? So just sit with that for a minute and feel for that. And you can pause and take as long with that if you as you need. And then when you're complete with that, let's feel for the future self. Feel for the part of you that has the way out, that knows the way out. And let's listen for their directions, for their collaboration, for their message. What message does your future self have for you today? Feel free to ask them a specific question. Let me just tune in to see if my future self has anything to say. It's not really that she has a message, she just has more of a feeling for me. Like, I see my future self on a clear, open road, driving, looking out the window. I feel everything that she's carrying. I feel her grief. I feel her joy. I feel her a livelihood. I feel like it's those moments where you're just, the peace. You know that kind of peace that you get when you're alone? I mean, maybe you do or don't have this experience, but yeah, just like that peace where you're driving alone on the open road and you have I mean, it's kinda cliche, but you have your whole life ahead of you, and there's you've been through a lot in your past, but, like, this is it. You're here. It's that feeling that my future self is trying to communicate with me right now. It's like, that's the message. It's not really a piece of advice, it's not this or that, it's just like, feel it. This is safe passage into 2026. And that, leads us isn't my future self a great great producer along with my friend over here? Um, that leads us great into our, uh, promoting our next event, which is our safe passage ceremony on December 6th. So the last thing I'll say is that, yeah, I really do take my own medicine, right, when I do these readings, and 100%, even if I'm trying not to take my own medicine, it's still it's still like Mary Poppins shoving that sugar down my throat. Anyway, yeah, I take my own medicine because after that, in the last week since I did the last video, I had to really look at, like, the places where my past self was really getting in the way of what I was trying to organize, and including the next event that I'm hosting, which is called Trans a Livelihood. It is a safe passage ceremony. Um, the tagline is keeping our hearts, spirits, and bank accounts resourced during times like these. And it's on December 6th, 2025, from 1 to 4 p.m. So just hang out for the afternoon with us on December 6th. It'll be recorded. Um, and I realize it's like a double 333 because it's December is 1 plus 2 is 3. Um, plus the 6th is 2 threes. So that's 333. And then 2025 is 9, which is 333. So I didn't realize that I had organized it that way, but I did. And yeah, come through, so what I did was actually like I reworked my invitation a little bit because I realized that there was, my past self was like getting in the way of sharing just like the direct kind of invitation that I really want to extend to people. And so I have the updated invitation below in the show notes. So I'd love for you to check it out during the safe passage ceremony. It's going to be a time where we weave together this safe passage for everyone who comes. So if you're looking to ground into your own energy of this open road, of your own safe passage, but into the new year and also beyond that, come and get this, medicine and this protection ceremony. We'll have time for a couple live readings. individually that I'll do for a couple folks, and the messages that come through those readings are going to be weaving the ceremony as a whole, and it's going to be relevant and supportive for the group as a whole. And the bulk of this ceremony is also going to be co-hosted by my dear friend Raven, who's been on the channel before. We're going to take you through a presentation of our Village Artist Grant system. And well, that I have vision, and that Raven is the first major recipient of this technology, this system. And we're going to talk about how do we really do this? How do we raise artist grants for each other through village funding technologies? Um, how do we build an economy where we get all of our financial needs met in order to support the most important creative, political, spiritual work, and our healing and the integrity of our healing journeys? How do we get artist grants for that kind of thing without having to go through an external funding system? And I'm not just talking about little pennies. I'm talking about, like, how do we organize six-figure grants for one another? How do we do that efficiently? How do we make this happen for each other? And so what my system is a very fully fleshed methodology, a blueprint, an ecosystem that is meant to be practiced now. So we're really going to start practicing it. And so the first thing that I want to do, though, is get everyone in the room who's interested, curious, longing for to live like this, the way that I am. Um, and you have your own skills, you have your own things you're working on, you have your own visions. I want you in the room to really feel how what we're putting on the table is weaving what with what you're doing, and how we can support each other, to live more like we want to live right now, in places where we're getting stuck, or in places where we just need more support, more community, um, more ancestor guided community. So yeah, just, check out the full updated invitation below, and if it speaks to you, then I hope you'll join us on December 6th. And otherwise, I will continue to be here on this YouTube channel. I have something special coming up for Trans Remembrance Day, which is November 20th. So make sure you me and my co-producer created that one specifically. So hope you'll join us for that. Okay, until next time. Peace.